Karim, in general terms, what would you say about the landscape we're in at the moment? There's an awful lot of your industry here at SuperReturn Berlin, and they're here for a reason, aren't they?
Well, we're meeting a lot of global LPs here, and they're very interested in our story at Gulf Capital because we're investing from the Gulf to the rest of Asia, and this is probably the fastest growing region in the world today. They're surprised, like Abu Dhabi grew at 9.3% last year, Saudi Arabia 8.7%, fastest growing economies in the world, surpassing China and India. So investors want growth at the end of the day, and our region is delivering that.
What do you think about the approach at the moment and what's working and what isn't in this sort of challenging environment?
Well, the higher interest rates are an issue. The leveraged buyout model is not really working. It was easy to make returns by leveraging companies excessively and using cheap debt. Obviously, the high interest cost is making that model a bit difficult. Our focus at Gulf Capital is all about operation improvements. We tend to shun and avoid debt. The way we make our returns, we have 23 operating partners, industry advisors. We go into our companies, we clean, we fix, we grow. On average, we've tripled the profitability of our portfolio companies. If you look at our returns, 94% of our returns comes from EBITDA growth and profit growth, not from leverage. So our business model is ideal for the times in this very high interest rate environment.
Also, how do you feel about that business model in terms of what it says to people about your approach in terms of your sense of responsibility to those portfolio companies as well?
Well, our responsibility is to grow these companies. Our slogan is Partners in Growth, where every time we buy a controlling stake in these portfolio companies, we take them from the Gulf to Asia, Europe, and Africa and beyond. People are surprised our companies operate in 68 countries around the world. So big is beautiful. We like to internationalize our companies, and every time we do that, we're able to sell them at a very nice price.
How's that working in terms of globalisation at the moment, though? Because there is a bit of a pullback from that with perhaps the effect of the pandemic, people becoming more careful about their territories, perhaps.
Honestly, we like to back management that travel well, and every time we buy a company in the Gulf, we take it to Asia. Investors are surprised that we've done 15 acquisitions in Asia to date over the last 17 years, and we're connecting the two regions, the Near and the Far East, in this high growth corridor. And I think a company that operates in 10, 20, 30 countries is a lower risk, much more valuable company. So it's about avoiding single country exposure and having a portfolio of countries. So we deliver emerging market growth without single country exposure.
And what about sectors? Any specifics at the moment?
We're a thematic investor. We are focused on 5 priority sectors. We're big in tech and fintech, healthcare, business services, consumer, and sustainability. So these are all growing double-digit growth rate, and we're building deep expertise in these 5 priority sectors.
You talked there about sustainability. Obviously, it's going to be a hot topic wherever you are now. Tell me about that in terms of the portfolio companies you're looking at, but also what you think your responsibility is as a firm.
So we think of sustainability as an investment destination. I think it's an interesting sector to invest in. We've been a long-term investor in water, providing clean water across emerging markets through companies like Metito. We're looking at food security, big topic because the Gulf imports 90% of the food. And we're looking at renewables and the energy transition. People are surprised that, for example, Abu Dhabi is the world's second largest investor in renewables. We have the largest solar plants in the world, and we're looking very seriously at the energy transition. And in fact, Abu Dhabi is hosting at the end of 23 COP28, the climate change conference. It shows how our region, even though it's very oil rich, is looking forward and trying to embrace sustainability and diversify its energy sources. So we like to invest in this sector, but also all of our portfolio companies, we're trying to push them to do more. We're starting to measure the carbon footprint and encouraging our portfolio companies how to be more eco-friendly, embrace ESG. And because we're a control investor, we're able to be a bit more forceful and push this across our portfolio companies. I'll give you an example. We own a company called Middle East Glass. It was the largest packaging company in the Middle East. We provided glass bottles and plastic bottles to the consumer across the Middle East. We convinced the board to exit the PET business, we got out of that and we took the proceeds to invest in our capacity to recycle glass. And now we're running a green business. And eventually, a clean green company is worth much more when you sell it. So this was an epiphany. It's the first time where we see you can do well and do good at the same time. So we like that alignment.
Well, hopefully that's a message you can spread out there, because there's enough members of your profession here. There's 4,000 people.
Yes.
It's the largest ever SuperReturn. So what conversations are you hoping to have while you're here?
Well, it's seeing old friends, a lot of networking, seeing a lot of our LPs here and new LPs as well. And also show them also that they ought to consider our region. We give global LPs two things: a lot of growth and diversification. Because if you look at the time when the US, Europe are recession, our region is having a record growth year. So in any portfolio, we provide diversification. We have a negative correlation to the rest of the world. So our pitch to global investors, they should look at our region and allocate to it.
Well, it's great for you to share your thoughts now with us. Thank you so much for joining me. Great to see you, Karim.
Thank you very much.